If you're a small business owner who received a COVID economic injury disaster loan during the pandemic from the Small Business Administration, this video is for you. We've opened the calendar because we're getting so many comments from folks here on YouTube who are in need of help. A lot of folks are asking questions. We're trying to address some of those with our recent ℜ𝒦𝒤𝒦𝒪𝒰𝒩𝒟 videos where I take a comment and I answer the comment and address that comment with my EIDL expertise. But obviously we can't get to all of them, and there's only so much that I can discuss in the video because the comments don't always have the kind of level of detail and nuance that helps me to help you. And in response, we have opened our calendar. If you'd like to book a call, you can click on the link in the description. Here are some recent calls I've done. One call, which just happened 2 days ago. This is, I think, very important for folks who don't think that they need our advice in a paid call or the kind of information we offer in our EIDL Resource Hub. This was a business owner who owns 3 different entities that received COVID loans. Each of the businesses earns in the tens of millions of gross revenue, and he's a sole member of the business. He has decided to sell those businesses, and in fact, he has a letter of intent from a buyer. And in discussion with his attorney, he decided, I want to make sure that I'm complying with the terms of the loan agreements that I signed for each one of those businesses. I've been saying this here on our channel. Linda Ray and I both have been saying this for 5 years, that you need to read the loan agreement and you need to maintain compliance with the loan agreement. In fact, we did a ℜ𝒦𝒤𝒦𝒪𝒰𝒩𝒟𝒮 basics video about the loan agreement, and here it is here if you want to watch it. This business owner, in conversation with his attorney, determined, I do need expert advice. Even though in his transaction he has a buyer and he plans to pay off the COVID loans in full at the closing. And as he said to me on the call, well, you would think I'm paying the loan off in full. It's a lot like a mortgage, right? You get a payoff letter and then you just pay it off. And I responded to him, well, with the SBA, it is more complicated than that. And you especially want to make sure that you are in compliance with every term in the EIDL loan agreement to ensure that not only at the moment when you are transferring the sale of the business, and I gave him advice on what to expect from SBA representatives when he processes that transaction, because he will have to request what's called a lien release of the UCC, which is the lien against the business. And he cannot get that lien release until the loan is paid off. And we have already processed one of those, and I can tell you, as with all things SBA, they make it more complicated than it needs to be. And so I outlined that procedure, and I gave him advice on how to push back against absurd requests from the SBA should those come up, and they probably will. And again, he said, I thought this would be as simple as getting a payoff letter and paying the loan off, and etc. And so did his attorney. But they booked the call. He spent the 1 hour, and at the end of the 1 hour, he said, I'm so glad I booked this call, even though I didn't think I needed the call. I just wanted to be sure. The other element on the call that I discussed with him was compliance with the loan agreement, specifically around books and records, around the potential for an audit, because as per the loan agreement, the SBA has the ability to request books and records several years after the loan's paid off. Did you know that? I knew it because I read the loan agreement 5 years ago. In some of the other calls that I managed over the last few days, these are business owners who are either facing a very challenging situation with Small Business Administration, an accountant who got approved for a 7A Express loan, and that triggered a post-compliance audit of his COVID loan. As a result, the SBA basically accused him of committing fraud. And I gave him advice on how to proceed with that, because the SBA told him he's barred for life. And that is an unacceptable response to me. And I said the same to him and gave him advice on a strategy to move forward with that. The other business owners are facing challenges that are more a situation of duress. An older gentleman who is 75 who wants to close down his small business, just him and his wife. and he has some business assets. He's not sure that there's sufficient amount of money to satisfy the debt. Plus, the business has other business debt. And so we discussed that on the 1-hour call. I presented a couple of different strategies. The other calls were folks who are under substantially more dire straits in terms of inability to recover from the pandemic. Revenue is way down for a variety of reasons, and what to do. And I'm doing this video today because we see a lot of folks come into our comments anytime we promote our products or services, and they say, oh, you guys are hucksters and shills and you're just trying to sell your stuff. Which is true, because we have a business just as you do, and you're our audience composed of small business owners, right? We're not trying to sell you things you don't need. But especially because you all keep telling us that you need this assistance. That's why we opened the calendar. That's why we offer these videos here, to provide as much information in a video, considering the constraints of the video, the constraints of the comment that you, or the question you ask. There's only so much subtlety, nuance, and specifics that we can cover in these videos. Remember, we're playing these videos to a wide audience of folks, small business owners like you who got the COVID loans, and it's impossible to address every unique situation. And the one thing we learned about small business owners over the last 5 years is each of you has nuance, subtlety, and uniqueness to your personalities, both personally and professionally. And the best way that we have for the moment to help you address that, whether you're in a stressful situation in terms of repayment challenges, whether you're in a stressful situation of a transaction that you need to process with the SBA and you want to do it right, whether you're not sure that you need the help, but you just want to double check what you think is the right thing, any of those categories on the COVID EIDL, and you want to pick my brains for 1 hour, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Here's 2 reviews we got on recent phone calls for our April 2025 open consulting calendar. It seems to me these folks are very satisfied with the consulting work that I've provided to them. And I would love the opportunity to provide the same to you. If you would like to book a call, click on the link in the description. If you want to do it yourself, we have our EIDL resource hub, which you can purchase. That link is also in the description. And if you wouldn't mind liking the video and subscribing to our channel. More than 70% of viewers are not subscribers. Can you believe that? So please subscribe and please like the video, because when you do, you're telling the YouTube algorithm that this video, this information, this advice has value to you. Even if you don't hire us for consulting services, even if you don't buy our products, by liking and subscribing, you're actually helping us to grow our reach for a wider audience, because YouTube will recommend our videos to a wider audience thanks to you just doing something real simple, like hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. And if you do subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, because we are trying to provide more relevant, timely content in these early months of 2025 when there's so much chaos and confusion at the SBA. And we'd love it if you hit the bell and you get notified when we publish videos. Thanks for tuning in. And once again, Linda Ray and I, the EIDL experts, we thank you and we appreciate you so very much for subscribing and for being part of our audience. We wish you well with your business.